So sour candy.
I'm sorry.
Were you about to start singing it?
Did you?
Stop. Were you about to do it?
Joe, what?
Were you about to start singing?
Yeah.
Why didn't you?
Because I was going to say take a bite.
That's
so sour candy. And I stopped myself because I was like, I think that we've done that before. But you just said take a seat. We both said take a bite. Sour candy. Oh. You honestly are looking really good, Jerry.
I'm giving Jerry Seinfeld.
You are.
I am. I kind of wish I had like a gray like turtleneck mock on, but it's the New Balance, the dad sneak. And listen, like it's not even like a chic New Balance. These are the New Balances I wore in 6th grade because I had a fucking problem with my growth plate.
These are the same.
No, I'm a size 13 now. I was not a size 13 in 6th grade.
I was going to say, big
if
foot.
I had a 13 size foot in 6th grade.
Would be crazy.
I'd be in Ripley's, believe it or not.
Yeah, you would. You'd be flopping around that school.
But these were the shoes that I had, and I was really embarrassed of that. I was like so mortified going to gym, having to wear these New Balances. I was like, this is so embarrassing. I wanted to be wearing like Vans.
Yeah, but honestly, isn't it kind of nice? Like, what was the stigma around a New Balance? It was a wide foot. I'll say it. Because they are.
You think people were being prejudiced against people with wide feet, and that's why New Balances weren't trendy at the time?
I kind of do, because every doctor I went to
said,
was like,
put on a pair of New
Balances. Literally, Andrew, just put on New Balances.
And it was like, no, I can't.
I actually can't bring myself to put on New Balances.
I know.
Because then you spot them and you say,
like the weird kids wore New Balances, right?
Yeah.
And like, I mean, but again, I was one of them.
Yeah, you were wearing New Balances. And now looking back on it, I wear New Balances.
New Balances have like really, they've come around 100%. Like I am a fan of a New Balance.
I would say that we do have a New Balance.
There's a New Balance to the room, I would say.
Yeah.
I feel balanced.
For the first time, like on episode, what is this, 22? I feel balanced.
23.
Episode 23,
What's really interesting is earlier today, you guys, I learned from Andrew that he, quote unquote, is not always excited, nor does he enjoy doing this.
Joe, you're literally putting words in my mouth. I literally said out of 21 episodes, I was happy to do 18. No, like I'm always happy to do it. I just will say that sometimes like there are moments where I'm like, I just can't talk. I just can't talk. Problem. You have an inflamed tonsil, and that's why I'm a big proponent on get the tonsils out.
I would love to. Open the throat. I looked in your throat today, and it was cavernous.
You were saying that it almost was like
it looked like Kim's house.
Yeah,
your throat was so wide and vacant. Mm-hmm. It looked exactly like the hallways in the Kardashian household.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like, I definitely got a lot of oxygen in here. Good children.
Hey, you guys, and welcome back to another beautiful episode of Good Children, the podcast where hosts Joe Hegyes
and Andrew Muscarella
reflect on our 21 years of friendship, growing up in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and all of the nostalgia, trauma, and field trips that includes.
I love a trip.
I had anxiety around field trips. You know that.
Because you didn't want to leave the school. You weren't like excited.
I was like a little bit excited, but I was like, this is how I feel about sex. Okay. I'm like, this has to happen now.
You're kind of fucking up my schedule.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I have better things.
You like routine, and you don't want to be getting on a school bus to go to the.
I think it might be
Natural History Museum.
Yeah, Natural History was a hit. I loved that experience.
It was
that
incredible.
4th grade was the best year of my entire life.
Yeah, because we were going to Natural History.
Ellis
Island.
And I don't know, like something about being a 4th grader, I feel like that was the last time I felt true confidence, true joie de vivre, and true like, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, because once you get into the 5th grade, then you're like the cool kids in school. Like you're the big shots.
I know, but you're
and then from there, bottom of the totem pole. 4th grade, bliss.
I don't know, like maybe this is the pessimist in me, but I feel like in 5th grade, I was like, it's all downhill from here. Like I knew. 4th grade, I was still blissfully unaware of the entrance into middle school.
Yep.
5th grade, I was like, this is the last time I'm going to feel this good.
Yeah, I didn't because they were throwing you into Commerce Plaza.
I wanted to talk about Commerce Plaza on this podcast so badly. Okay, Commerce Plaza, 5th grade. Inside of an abandoned school in our neighborhood was a full mini town. The most important part was the functioning McDonald's.
McDonald's, yeah.
Like that to me was...
And we had to interview
for jobs. And the jobs ranged from, like, you could be the mayor of the town, you could work at the McDonald's, you could be the meter reader, you could be a secretary, you could be a lawyer, you could be, I'm sure there was a cop.
Yep.
Like, all of the things that you could possibly imagine. It was a mini town.
Yes.
Throughout all of my elementary school experience, everything was leading up to Commerce Plaza.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this is the trip of a lifetime.
Because, like, what job are you going to get? It's like everybody was talking about it. And honestly, for me, I was like, I want to work at McDonald's. Because you're not going to be able to go in there and say, you can say I want to be mayor. Everyone wanted to be mayor.
Right.
I think you honestly put your top 3.
You put top 3. They picked one for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The interview was nuts.
It was like I remember sitting outside of class, like sitting
being
down.
Nervous.
Yeah, I was
like, it's about to happen. This is
I was sick. I was like, I'm about to be fully employed. Like,
yeah.
I actually have to, like, I'm in business.
Yeah.
I'm going to be with these kids and, like, I can't fuck shit up.
No, it was really intense. Okay, what job did you have?
I was an insurance agent, and I was legitimately writing checks.
The fact that insurance agent was a job is insane.
I was like, wait, what?
Wow.
Yeah, insurance agent / like bank teller. It was like a bank situation.
That makes sense.
I was in banking.
I dealt with the bank in my position.
You dealt with the bank?
I
Because you probably needed to be cut a check.
Well, I was the mayor. Yeah, I was the mayor of Commerce Plaza, and like I will say it was the best day of my entire life, and I walked in there like I owned the place.
As you should.
Being a politician, being a leader is tough work.
Yeah.
It was not easy.
I make a speech?
I made a speech. I did make a speech at the end of
I remember our mayor did too.
Who was your mayor?
Couldn't tell you.
I made a speech, but I remember like everyone else got to do fun stuff all day. Like you were seeing each other, you were like getting McDonald's, like you were like...
I was sitting in a cubicle the entire day.
Same. I was sitting in my office.
Stressed.
I was signing papers. I had to sign declarations. I had to like make rules, and I had to sign every single resident of Commerce Plaza's like certificate because I was the mayor. And I was like, this is
too much responsibility. I was stressed in a cubicle following the instructions on how to write a check. Be like, okay, the 00 over 100. The people were coming to me being like, hey, can I get my check? And I'm like, can you shut up?
You had to pay people out, right?
Yeah, I had to pay people out nonstop. They were coming to me like, can you give me my checks? I was like going around to the McDonald's workers giving them checks.
It was really a life-changing experience.
Stuck with you forever. And honestly, I think that's probably why I became a finance major, because I was legitimately a bank teller.
And that's why I became a podcast host.
Yeah, because you're a politician.
That's the twist.
Yeah.
That's the twist of this show.
Yeah.
Is when I run for office. So what are we talking about?
Today we're talking about field trips.
Oh my God.
Which also includes just trips in general.
Including a trip to
Universal Orlando Resort.
Yeah. Ellis Island.
Ellis Island, they don't half-ass shit there. I definitely recall the ferry there.
The ferry there, terrifying. Ferries in general.
Going down. We arrive at Ellis Island. Honestly, it's a big place. I don't remember anything probably besides the sandwich that I ate, and then the one moment that will stay with me for the rest of my life.
Both of our moms were on the trip.
Yes.
And like, it's a museum. Like there's like giant walls of like old pictures, and one of the walls is like of immigrants entering Ellis Island. Both of our grandparents came to America through Ellis Island.
Yeah,
great-grandparents. And so our moms go.
They see a boat. It's like coming from Italy. My mom looks. She says, "Oh my gosh, that's my grandfather." Joe's mom, Patty, looks and says, "Oh my gosh, that's my grandfather." They're standing right next to each other. Me and Joe are like,
oh my God.
We're like, this is kind of crazy, because it's just like, this was meant to be, Joe.
It was like, this is fate. Like our grandfathers came into this, our great grandfathers came into America together. So like, that's why we're together. And like for us, we were like
our great grandparents were best friends, and they came up over the boat together.
And so the rest of the trip, we were like, wow, it's like crazy that like that's our grandparents. Like it's like literally crazy. Like we're literally like part of history.
I don't think I learned the truth until probably like a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember like kind of telling you.
Yeah, and I was like, it kind of felt like finding out Santa wasn't real. I was like, Joe, what are
Santa
you saying?
Is real.
You're right. Yeah, Santa is real. But it was kind of like that feeling that if Santa wasn't real and someone told you that, like, game over.
Yeah, I remember said, they're lying at Ellis Island. And I was like, oh, they're lying. But somehow you missed that moment.
It was kind of like from Universal Studios to Ellis Island.
Fate brought us both to both of those places.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we kissed the floor. The other part of that trip I remember, they had European chocolate bars.
Oh.
And that was the first time I got an Aero bar.
Oh, you and an Aero bar.
I love an Aero bar.
A pea in a pod.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
You guys, like...
I've never passed up an Aero bar.
No. You're in Stop and Shop and you go through that international aisle and you're like...
I'm grabbing my Aero bar.
You're clawing the arrows.
Yep. The mint ones.
The mint ones, you can't even compare
They're
to
so
them.
Fucking good.
They're very good.
They're my favorite chocolate bar. And that was Ellis Island for me. Okay, let's backtrack a little bit.
Let's back.
You're in class. It's an average day in October.
Mm-hmm.
Your teacher takes out a stack of pale yellow printed paper cut in half. You know exactly what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a permission slip.
There's butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
You're so excited. You're like, where are we going?
The planetarium.
And you're like, holy shit! The planetarium! I love a planetarium.
Yeah, same. A planetarium is one of my favorite things to do.
I would go to there to this day.
The planetarium?
I would love.
You should go to the Hayden Planetarium.
Why aren't we doing that?
I don't know. It's literally a museum of natural history.
I want to look up at the stars.
I want to talk to the museum. If anyone here works for a museum in New York City, that's a fun one. And that does include, I love the Tenement Museum. Please let us know.
There's a 10-minute museum?
The Tenement?
Oh. I was like, kind of like a 10-minute museum sounds like right up my alley.
Like it's about the tenements.
Okay, yeah. Now I get it.
Wait, sorry. So you get the permission slip. For me, the first thing I'm doing is like, I gotta tell my mom because she is absolutely not gonna let me go on this trip if she is not the chaperone.
Yep.
And lo and behold, I think that she chaperoned every field trip I ever went on.
Yeah. I loved when my parents came on trips with me.
Because
it was always either my dad or my mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't fuck around because my mom is here. She's going to put you in check.
And it is truly like the same feeling as like a European vacation. Like you could be driving 15 minutes west to a bowling alley, but I'm like, this is the chicest, most glamorous experience I'll ever have. Anything could happen at a whaling museum.
Why were we at a whaling museum?
Long Island is founded on that. You know what I mean? I feel like it was whaling.
Yeah.
I mean after they tore through the indigenous people who lived there originally. I feel like whaling became the next big thing. Mm-hmm. And I remember being on that trip and learning about how they used whale blubber to make
gum.
Didn't
they say something
they
about
chew it? I remember learning a lot about whale blubber.
Yeah.
You know what was the worst?
What?
I don't know if we ever talked about this. Speaking of whale blubber, being the fattest kid in the class.
Yeah.
And knowing it and it being the only thing. I remember on the first day of school being I'm the only fat kid in this class.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know you were looking around actually
sizing people up. To be is anyone here fatter than me?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really sad.
We can skip right over that, but wow. I completely forgot about that.
I know. I might have been the fattest one in the class, but I'll tell you one thing. At the Whaling Museum, I was that captain.
You were the captain, my captain.
Oh, captain, my captain. And I was in...
drag.
I was in drag. They put me actually in a captain jacket and it fit...
It fit perfectly.
And I was meant to be that captain.
That little hat. I was I was in an outfit as well.
Yeah, you were. I mean, we were obviously on the same ship.
We were working. Yeah, I was working for you.
Yeah,
which honestly was probably really good for your confidence.
It was at that time. I needed that. I was kind of I am the captain, Joe, and you better step up.
Fishing trips. We did those with Boy Scouts. Little you were traumatized.
Yeah, I was really traumatized because again, when you're catching a fish and then you're like, I caught a fish,
and
they're like. Slice that fish's head right off immediately. I'm like, no, let it go.
Seeing its guts.
Guts just, and it's still flopping, and then it
is traumatic.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I don't eat fish. Naps.
I hate this chair, and I'm going to talk about it for a minute.
Let's talk about it.
I have yellow undertones.
And I have red undertones.
And we should be in opposite seats, but it's too late now.
Yeah.
It's too late. But I do agree that, and again, I think I should be in front of books, and you could put whatever you want here that reflects you.
A few pots and pans?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
But even in season 2, is it weird if we switch sides?
I think that, like, season 2, who knows what the set is going to look like.
Okay. This is a perfect time to remind everyone that our live show is happening at the Bell House on November 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Doors open at 6:30. The bar opens at 5.
Wait. The bar opens at 5?
I'm pretty sure drinks begin at 5 p.m.
But yeah, come to our live show. It's going to be really fun. Like, honestly, there's going to be a lot of surprises.
There's
for us as well.
Yeah, because we have no clue what it is.
We have no clue what the surprises are. And we have no clue what's going to come out of our mouths.
Getting on the bus sucks. I hate a school bus.
Mm-hmm. Have you flipped over the seats?
No, Andrew, because I'm a good child. You were flipping?
Once.
What does that mean? Like when you hit a bump, you like...
You can do it over a bump, or you can just do it in general. It kind of like when you're at the gymnastics party and you're just throwing your stomach over that seat and you're just flipping right over. Never did that.
I wasn't on buses enough as a kid. Like I only started taking the school bus.
You were a walker.
My mom drove me. I only started...
That still was considered, like, I feel like a walker.
No,
I feel like there was, like, the bus kids.
You're right,
and
there was walkers.
But, like, you were still, like, just being driven, but, like, rightfully so.
So, if you guys follow us on Instagram, you may have seen that our dear friends at Universal Studios hooked us up and treated us truly like Selena
Meghan
Gomez
Trainor.
And gave us a RIP experience at Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios, and it was genuinely insane.
Yeah,
thank you to Nick.
Yes,
thank you so much, Nick, for
a loyal listener and
literally
really
like
hooking us up.
that is truly a listener who changed our lives fundamentally, because I'll never be the same after that experience.
Yeah, and all we wanted to do, we already had that trip planned.
Yeah.
And I've never been to Halloween Horror Nights, and let me tell you, that's
Buckle
not
up.
my last time.
Oh, absolutely not.
I get spooked. I get scared. I was nervous. You saw my anxiety before I went into that park.
Yeah.
It was not normal.
No, it was scary. You drank a Red Bull and you blamed it on that.
I blamed it on the Red Bull. I was honestly like, Joe, like, why did I even drink this Red Bull? Like, I'm literally sick to my stomach. Like, I'm not speaking. Like, I feel really, really anxious. And you're just like, you're scared. I'm like, shut up. I'm literally not scared.
Yeah, that is the feeling beforehand. You do get really anxious.
I don't know. I don't know why.
Because the energy of the place, if they make you, like, Universal Studios does a good job at actually making you feel like you're almost, like, in danger.
Yes.
Like a maple syrup fried chicken situation. Shoot. It's a threatening aura of the whole place. Like, it just seems like you're, like, you don't want to fuck around.
They're not
like,
half-assing anything. It's actually so incredible that I'm like, yeah, you're scaring me genuinely.
Yeah. I'll never forget, speaking of Universal Studios, the first time that me and you, like, we went to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter together in 8th grade.
Jesus.
That was, maybe it was 9th grade, whatever.
Yeah.
That was a life-changing experience for me for a few reasons.
Yeah.
First of all, it was Harry Potter. Second of all, you showed up in a wig at my door. Third of all, those were the only two reasons I had. You know, I'm sure I've talked about I don't know if I've ever gotten into detail about how obsessed I was with Harry Potter. I feel like I talk more about the Hunger Games on this podcast than Harry Potter, but like,
no,
it was weird.
You were obsessed,
like in a crazy way.
It was really actually all you wanted to talk about if we were like playing or doing anything.
It was Harry Potter. The day that Wizarding World opened was literally like the most insane moment in my entire life.
To live it, like,
like getting to step into that is, and still is to this day, like such a crazy experience. And like getting to do it with you, getting to have butterbeer for the first time.
I was just about to say, what was your butterbeer experience for the first time?
Every time I have butterbeer, I'm like actually drunk off my ass from the non-alcoholic soda that I'm drinking.
Yeah. I mean, it's putting you, it's a glucose test.
It's, if my blood sugar's low,
you might as well have one of those because I have one of those and I want to go to sleep.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally, it's such a, let's call it what it is.
A decadent treat. Yes. But it's delicious.
It's delicious.
Frozen
but like,
or regular.
I gotta go regular.
Yeah.
Frozen's too much for me. But that foam, that cream on top, insane.
I want to pour that cream all over my body. When it gets a little bit on your lip. When
I have about a million.
Are you a lip smeller?
What does that mean, Andrew?
So like when you like have like a milkshake or you have one of those, like does it kind of linger on your top lip?
What? A lip smeller?
You go like this. And you're like, ooh, it kind of smells like sour milk. No?
What? This happens to you often? Your whole life?
My whole life, I've been smelling my lips.
And you've been saying sour milk?
Especially after like a milkshake, yes. Anything that like your lips get...
What's going on right now for you?
Kind of just smell like... Not really like anything. Like maybe like a pesto. Oh yeah. It's probably Italian sausage.
I don't know, like every week you come on here and you outdo the most disgusting thing you said the week before. And every week in the interim between episodes, you say, I'm tired of being disgusting.
Because I truly like don't even realize sometimes like how disgusting I am. But like, you know what I mean? I know that there are other lip smellers out there.
I would love if there's a single lip smeller, I really encourage you, say what you want to say, let the words fall out. I want to see you be brave and I want to see you come forward because like I want you to feel you've been living in isolation and afraid of who you are, and Andrew is here to say,
I see you, I hear you, and I'm smelling my lips too. And like I don't think everybody really can like fully that was another thing, like I can fully engulf my lips into my nostrils. You know, so pop my ear, gooped.
I'm just gonna brag for a second. Like the experience that we had at Halloween Horror Nights was abnormal. So we had a private RIP tour. Our tour guide was Kate, who was incredible. It was like, again, we were truly Selena Gomez, Meghan Trainor, Kylie Jenner vibes. Like we got brought around the entire park privately, skipped every line, got to go to every single ride
like
and house.
Behind the stage access.
Yeah, we saw like doors, crazy things I've never seen before. Going to these parks my whole life, wanting to get behind the scenes. Like I didn't know that like it was clear for non-employees. Like it was a childhood dream come true to see the backstage of these parks. And I literally felt just like Ariana Grande the entire time.
Joe's head was down, honestly, the entire time when we were going past people.
Recognize us. Like, it's insane because you plug for Universal, you can buy that experience. There's no dollar amount that to me like should justify like the level of quality experience that was. If you like haunted houses,
and if you have a group of friends,
like it's like you can bring a bunch of people. It was just the four of us. It was literally amazing. And those houses were spooky.
They were really scary. The Halloween house was really scary.
The Weeknd house, let's talk about that. The Weeknd, the singer, had a haunted house at Halloween Horror Nights.
And it was just playing his music inside of the house.
And I will say it was
really scary.
It was spooky. It was like a club, and it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
What I did love about this trip and all haunted houses is that Andrew accepted his fate as the lead. Like, you know when you're walking into a haunted house and like someone has to be in the front? Like, you're like, who's going in first? And also the back is scary too.
The back is
like,
scarier.
What if someone gets me at the tail end of this?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to maneuver myself to be dead center. I'm at this point, you kind of just accept your fate.
I did, because you know what? Like, I was probably the sickest going into it, but if I needed to be, I would much rather be killed first than watch everybody else be killed.
Do you think you're gonna get killed?
No, but...
And then just like, again, bringing it back to like our childhood trip there, like, I'll never forget going to Mythos and you sucking your plate dry in front of, first of all, our table of about 16 people, and then everyone else in the restaurant, and you're lapping up chocolate syrup.
Yeah.
You've always been someone not afraid to suck.
I'm never afraid to suck. I'm never afraid to do things in public. And honestly, like, I'm not going to alter myself for my surroundings.
And I really respect that. Like, you swipe, you swoop, and you sop everything you possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And oftentimes you burp.
Of course, I'm
very publicly.
Yeah, I'm burping loudly, but like I'm definitely like I've had the waiters, waitresses, anybody like I'm licking my plate clean, and like to a point where they will say something, and I'm like, yeah, you can say something, but that's not gonna hurt me.
Are they saying don't do that?
No, they're saying, oh, you really like that meal.
Oh, that's
you must have hated that meal.
Nothing about
I'm like the fuck?
Anyone doing that is ever entertaining, and like. If I was someone who like tipped based on performance and not out of extreme guilt to always give like 30%, a waiter saying, "Oh, you didn't like it" when the plate's empty, I legitimately want to skip the bill.
Yeah. Especially, I'm sorry, if there was a sauce in that plate and there was bread on the table, you don't think that I'm going to sop up that sauce with the bread? Are you nuts? Are you buck nuts? Of course I'm going to do that. And I'm going to then, what I'll have to do if there is a napkin on the table or something, I obviously will then put it in the dish and put my utensils on top. So
disguising the plate. So no one knows that the plate is actually spotless. Like FDA approved, ready to go back out to someone else.
I'm sorry. You're welcome. The people on the back, you're welcome.
You got any fun stories? You got any stuff that happened to you on a field trip?
Not really, besides my dad abandoning the entire group on a field trip and like me having to deal with that secondhand. We were at the National History Museum. Yeah, that was a really tough one because it was like, Dad, I want you to come on my field trip. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. We're on this trip. He's in charge of about 10 fourth graders. He goes... He goes to another parent, goes,
I think to my mom.
He goes to Joe's mom saying, hey, can you watch after the group for a second? I'm just gonna run to Starbucks. You would think the Starbucks was in the museum. It's across the street in Manhattan. My dad is now across the street. Everyone goes, where's Joe? Where's Joe?
Joe is
my dad. He's across. They're like, he went to Starbucks. The teacher's like, he went to Starbucks? And I'm like,
and again, she already hated your guts.
She hated my guts. She loved my brother. He was 7 years older than me. She hated my guts for a lot of reasons, because that's probably really annoying. But him going to Starbucks, icing on the cake. I was mortified.
That's a story that's passed down. That's folklore. Right. Oh, let's talk about the 5th grade state fair for a moment. Speaking of like field trips, 5th grade state fair, it brings a field trip to you.
It brings a lot to you.
The 5th grade state fair was, again, in 5th grade, that was like you were counting down to the state fair. And the state fair was each student in your class was assigned a different state. And you just had to like make a poster about it.
Did you have a state in mind that you wanted?
Okay, everyone in the class wanted either California or New York, obviously. Yeah. And that was like the goal of everyone in the class.
Yep.
I wanted California because I was like, I'm going to move to Hollywood.
Yeah.
What did you want?
I also wanted California, or I wanted Hawaii.
Hawaii was also like a big one for the group.
Huge one.
Yeah, it was Hawaii.
I would have taken states. This is what it was. No, it was sexy states, but it was also like big states. Like I would have taken New York. I would have taken Hawaii. I would have taken Texas. I would have taken California.
What did you end up with?
Delaware. I burst out into tears in front of the entire class, sobbing uncontrollably about Delaware. I go, Delaware?
Why are you crying right now?
Because everyone's like, no, but like, Andrew, like, the teacher's like, Andrew, that's the first state. Like, it's so exciting. It's the first
Delaware's
state.
the first state? They made that shit up to you. That's
not
like, true.
It's the first state.
What happened to Plymouth?
It wasn't a state, Joe.
Those were the colonies?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like, Delaware's the first state. It's also the smallest state. I'm like,
no, it's not. Rhode Island is. You're making
at the time, no?
At the time of what?
It was definitely the first state.
In 2007, it was the smallest state.
It's definitely the first state.
I had New Hampshire, and I kind of just remember being like, fuck this shit. I remember being like, I'm actually done. Like, I'm graduating. I'm a grown up. I'm going into 6th grade. Like, I don't need the fucking state fair. So I did design a stunning recreation of Old Man in the Mountain,
Joe,
which is like a rock formation.
Really good.
It was really good. I had it for many years following. And
what was your snack that you brought?
New Hampshire's thing was like blueberries, so I brought in like blueberry corn muffins.
I had corn muffins.
Wait, so we were kind of twinning.
But mine were from Boston Market. I was the hot table because I said, I'm not. I want people coming up to my table. I want people taking that snack. I want people looking at the Delaware Water Gap right in the face.
Andrew, your recreation of the Delaware Water Gap is one of my favorite photos of you of all time.
I was proud.
It is so sweet. Okay, speaking of field trips, I think the big one, 5th grade, the big one that shakes up, I would honestly say, our lives forever.
For good.
Is the Odyssey of the Mind trip for the Gifted and Talented program that Andrew famously was not in.
Yeah, I again was upset about it.
Yeah, no hard feelings between us for it. Yeah, but we were going on a trip to a local college. Andrew was obviously not invited on this trip. It was for the kids who were performing in the Odyssey of the Mind. I was one of those kids. My mother obviously was a chaperone on the trip, so she's there. Somehow,
I said to my dad, I want to go on this trip. Like, it's not fair that I'm not going on the trip. Like, I want to see Joe perform, and like, it's like exciting. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I'm class president. So like,
no, like,
I do think that like I should be there
to represent the school. So was it my mom who had to say this to Daciano?
It was my dad, I think, called your mom
and said,
Patty, Andrew wants to go on the field trip. He thinks it's going to be good because he's representing the school and he wants to see Joe perform.
And my mom is like, that makes sense.
She's like, yeah, Joe.
I'll relay the message to the teacher. So it's the morning of the trip. Torrential rain. Flooding happening. Yeah. And we all show up for this trip, and so does Andrew.
Yeah.
The teacher takes one look at you.
She goes, what is he doing here? What in front of my face? She's like, what is he doing here?
And then I think my mom now says what your dad says, which is like, he's class president. He wants to represent the school.
And he wants to see Joe perform.
Right.
Like his dad said, it's totally fine.
And she says,
I don't think it's fine. I don't think it's fine that he's here. No, he needs to be in school. She hated my guts.
She really did. And so my mom is now like, okay, what do I like? School hasn't started yet. You can't go into school.
No,
it's pouring out.
Yep.
She's going on the trip, and they need a chaperone. So she has no choice now.
No, well, she said he can come on this trip, but he can't come on this bus.
So my mom has no choice but to drive behind the bus in the torrential storm with just Andrew.
As I sit in the back seat. I sat in the back seat as your mom drove behind that bus, as she was definitely scared to drive.
Yeah, she was panicked because it was like the kind of rain that you can't see out your windshield.
And I'll never forget, we got stuck in a in a flooded hole. We got stuck in a flooded hole, and she was like definitely really shaken up about it. And we were like, okay, we got this, and we like did eventually get out of that hole.
The things that you and my mom have experienced together. Is insane. Yeah. Like, how did this happen?
I don't know.
We get to the Odyssey of the Mind. I, in this moment, realized I had performed in front of people before.
Yeah.
I loved doing that shit. In every, like, little play I was in as a kid, I always was cast as, like, the mastermind villain in everything. In one of them, I was the poacher. I was poaching animals. In one of them, the one that you saw, I was the con man who came into Dumbsville. In one of them, another one, I was in charge of a game show. Did you do that one with me? I was an Australian. I did an Australian accent in charge of a game show. Made sense.
Makes so much sense.
But I was always like the Caesar Flickerman, if you will, of the show.
You've always given Caesar Flickerman energy.
That is who I am at my core.
What?
Do you think that like 25 years from now they're gonna reboot the Hunger Games franchise?
Yeah, you're
and I'll
Caesar,
play Caesar
and I'm gonna be
Flickerman?
Effie.
Oh my
my gosh. I feel like we took a trip.
I took a long trip, and I'm ready for a longer nap.
Absolutely. But
it's time for the girls' room. Flush.
Light? Flesh?
I said flush.
Oh.
You said fleshlight?
I thought you said flesh.
So, our question for today, I think we should answer this one. I don't know if we ever talked about it on the pod.
What?
It's a couple of weeks late now, but how was the meet and greet? Right? I don't think we ever talked about it. Let's talk about the meet and greet for a good 45 minutes. I will say, so leading up to it, I'm stressed.
Yeah.
I'm nervous.
Yeah.
I'm like, are people going to have fun? Is this all going to work out?
I need to pop a CBD gummy.
And I did.
Yeah, you did.
And I did. The most concern I had ahead of the meetup was, would people have fun? Because one, it was at a coffee shop, so there was no alcohol, so people couldn't get drunk and like then leave and be like, that was great. Like, it was a sober experience that you had to deal with sober. So like, that's one element of a party. For me, I felt like my Halloween parties in high school.
Yeah.
Where I was like, but then also like, I couldn't control the vibes. We had no like games or like energy or activity planned. It was literally just people walking into a space, and the expectation was like question mark.
Yeah.
So that is where all of my anxiety came from, was like, are people going to leave here happy?
Yeah. I had no anxiety about that. My anxiety was like, is everything gonna be set? Like I got there and I was like, why are there people back here?
Yeah, I was nervous in the beginning for that too.
I was like, okay, this is supposed to be clear, but I was like, we are in charge of the vibe. Yeah, I'm like, it doesn't matter if there's alcohol, it doesn't matter if there's games, like people are coming there to hang out with us and we want to hang out with them. Yeah. And we're gonna make them feel really fucking good, as they should feel, and just have a good time. Yeah, and no expectations.
That was the vibe. It ended up really feeling like I was hanging out with like a bunch of friends. Yeah. And like it was wild because the different conversations I had with different people, like each person, every single person who I spoke to, I had a completely different conversation with, and the vibe was different in every conversation. And some of them I was like, I was talking to the Ella cousins, and I was like, I literally am having a panic attack, and like I want to go home. And they were like, no, we're sick to our stomachs. And they was I knew I found the right two girls to speak to right now.
I'm genuinely making my rounds, like
you're like doing flips,
hosting an event. I'm like, you guys, today we're having intimate puppets.
I can't.
Puppets. I don't know. It's too similar to that meatball for me. But I will say, serving size.
What meatball?
Polpette.
Okay.
The serving size is 4. These powdered little donuts are insane because they're so soft. And they're so powdery. The worst thing, though, is it gets literally everywhere.
And it's like a Zeppeli. The thing about me and a powdered donut in general is like, come on. I don't even mean that positively. I think that like this is an abomination to God's earth. Because I'm covered in powder.
Yeah. They make you work for it.
And why not just glaze it?
It's actually like they are trying to humiliate you. They're like, they want everyone to know that you're having a donut. And they're like, it's going to get on your shirt and it's not going to go away. No, it's not going to go away. You want to put water on it?
Something about these two, like, I'm sorry that I'm dragging.
You're going to drag them right now? Mm-hmm. I'm not. So you go first.
Okay.
It's a debate.
I'm not trying to debate you. It tastes like there's baking soda on it. There's like a chemical to the tongue.
But I will say, like, for Entenmann's sake, a very fresh, soft donut. And I don't know when they were made, but they could have convinced me that they were made yesterday. Very good.
Do you not think that, like, it almost has a blood taste? Tastes like iron?
You gotta go to the doctor. Crazy pivot, talking about a field trip. Going to the supermarket with Joe.
No, Trader Joe's.
I might as well be the fucking chaperone because
Trader Joe's.
We walk into Trader Joe's. Am I happy to be there? Not really.
But you have to understand there's something wrong with me. You have to understand that there's something like mentally wrong with me where like I can't be in a space that is that intense. And any given Trader Joe's is too much for me. One in North Williamsburg, yeah, I'm sorry. The people there are psychotic. The energy of the space is deeply haunted. Thing about this, it's in a basement.
You know what?
There are about 45.
You're giving it too much thought because you just walk in there and you're like, I gotta get my groceries and I'm gonna get out.
No, but you can't because people are you're dodging people.
I should have been on an hourly wage babysitting him. Because, Joe, you were like...
I didn't have to come. I didn't want to come.
But I would like a little bit of input from somebody that I live with that were making meals. I don't want to take every single responsibility for every single item that I get and walk back with the bags. I would like that you were there. I'm like, Joe, do you want any of this? He's like, whatever you want.
Because I'm freaking out. Like, I'm actually having a panic attack inside Trader Joe's every time I go to Trader Joe's. And every time I walk in, it is the same experience. It is a horrendous, horrid, haunted, twisted place with some of the best food options you can ever imagine.
Oh my God, they have pumpkin bisque? But anyways.
I have no reason to bring up this woman right now. And I know that this is an episode about... Her name is Emily. And I know that, like, I'm completely pivoting the conversation, but there's this girl I know named Emily.
Okay.
She works in, like, a marketing field.
Okay.
She moved to Paris, and she's coming back for season 3. And the thing is, I don't want to hear a fucking word from any fucking little bitch out there who's going to say one bad thing about Emily in Paris. Because to me, and this is 100% sincere, there is no greater show on television than Emily in Paris.
It's so good.
It is genuinely...
It's like I'm living in Paris.
Okay. It is like genuinely so well constructed. The things that are happening in that show, season to season, episode to episodes, the things that Lily Collins is doing by just being the most petite woman I've ever seen in my entire life, the clothes she wears, the crazy shit that girl does.
Beautiful.
Whenever I hear someone say any uneducated opinion on Emily in Paris, I'm like, literally, like, you shouldn't be allowed to vote.
No, it's a feel-good show. Like, why are you trying to suck that out of it?
It's not a feel-good show. It is incredible television.
Yeah.
It is so well written. It is so well thought out. The things they are doing, like, I would genuinely lay my life really on the line for Emily in Paris. That's all I have to say.
I'm not even going to put any input in there.
Oh, don't end it. Don't make me stop talking.
I'm going to end it. I'm going to stop talking.
What are we getting for dinner?
Don't even talk to me about it.
Is it going to be Vanessa's Dumpling House?
No, you don't want it.
Let's
get pizza.
I don't want pizza either.
Well, then you're choosing dinner. Because I just
okay, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Good Children. It has been an honor. It's been a blast. I want to thank Universal Studios once again for giving us that incredible gift. Truly an unforgettable experience. And I want to thank you for listening and tuning in every single week. We would not be here without you. We deeply, deeply appreciate it. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Good Children Pod. You can find me on Instagram at Joe Hegyes.
You can find me on Instagram at Andrew Muscarella.
And don't forget to do your homework.
You better like, you better subscribe, you better hit that bell button. You spread that good word like good children you are. And you leave us a little review. They're getting better and better each week.
I'm obsessed. They really are. I like, once again, read them like they're a book.
Yeah.
And
if you have some free time, just download Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, just do a little, just for fun.
Something. If you are listening on Spotify, that's fine. I love you. And I'm so happy that you rated us on Spotify. But if you just want to download Apple Podcasts
and write a little review,
just might as well.
Might as well.
And listen, if you're in New York, Brooklyn, New Jersey,
Connecticut,
Pennsylvania, Massachusetts,
Delaware,
or
New Hampshire,
I want you traveling along that water gap because we have a live show on November 22nd. And yes, it's the week of Thanksgiving, but let's all be thankful together. It's at 7:30 at the Bell House in Brooklyn, and it is going to be
genuinely life-changing.
It's going to be life-changing.
You're not going to leave that room the same person you were when you walked in.
No.
And neither are we.
Nope.
And we're all bearing witness to something, I would say, like, cataclysmic.
That word. I'm like a bird, I want to fly away. I don't know where my soul is. I don't know where my home is.
Some of our best harmonies at some points in that one.
Holy hell.
Yeah.